To flight safety. We're just 2 days away from what's expected to be the busiest Memorial Day weekend in the skies ever. But after a series of air traffic controller blackouts at one of the nation's busiest airports, many travelers are nervous about getting on that plane.
We're delayed like 2.5 hours, so it'll be 3 in the morning when we get in.
Reporting live from hell, also known as Newark Liberty Airport.
I am supposed to fly from San Francisco to Newark, which if you don't know, it is an insane route right now.
Delayed flights, massive lines, American travelers have seen that before. But this is stuff of nightmares.
Our scopes just went black again.
They lost 3 radar scopes went black. They lost all the radios at approach.
Russia 651. We just had another brief radar outage.
Radar screens going black for a minute and a half. Radio outages, sometimes up to 5 minutes. Air traffic controllers unable to communicate and follow pilots in the sky, creating potentially dire situations.
Just got told that the approach lost all their radars. 3 of their 4 radar screens went black, and they have no frequencies.
The outages and an air traffic controller shortage impacting thousands of flights across the country, especially at Newark Liberty International Airport, where delays and cancellations have become the norm. All this just ahead of what's projected to be one of the busiest Memorial Day weekends ever in the air.
The last thing you want is your computer screen to go black if you're an air traffic controller, especially when you're working a busy, congested airspace like we have in New York City.
Any outages of any kind are unacceptable in the air traffic control system. You have tens of thousands of people who are airborne at any one time. It's inexcusable.
Even the Secretary of Transportation sounding the alarm.
The air traffic control system that we use today is anywhere from 25 to 50 years old. We have copper wires, not fiber. We use radar that is, 1983 vintage at the earliest.
Newark's being talked about because their equipment is unreliable. It's just like if you were driving down the road and I covered your eyes while you were going 70 miles an hour and said, keep driving.
FedEx 1989. If you care about this, contact your airline and try to get some pressure for them to fix this stuff.
But it's not just Newark.
This time, controllers in the Denver area losing communications with planes for some 90 seconds.
Near misses, losing communication, clipped wings.
The latest close call between 2 airplanes, the Southwest flight, about to land in Chicago when a small jet, you can see it right there, crossed the runway.
And a deadly crash in Washington, D.C.
It certainly has not been a good year for aviation safety. That said, it continues to be extraordinarily safe.
January's mid-air collision between an American Airlines plane and an Army Black Hawk helicopter over the Potomac River killed 67 people, making it the deadliest crash in over 20 years in the U.S.
What we need to do is go back and figure out, why did the DCA mishap occur? Why are we seeing all these close calls of near collisions on runways? Why are we seeing equipment breakdown? So it's not any one fix. It's lots of little things that need to get fixed.
The pressure is on all across the United States to keep the skies safe as the Federal Aviation Administration continues to grapple with the dramatic shortage of air traffic controllers.
Facilities across the country usually have some level of a staffing target that they need each and every day. Many times we can only staff 2 of the positions out of the 8 to 10 that should be open to control and work planes at full capacity.
This shortage has been in the works for decades, really since the Clinton administration. We have one program training air traffic controllers, and it has just been a very difficult, very stressful process for these controllers to go through training and then remain on the job for an extended period.
We have to beef up the numbers. But air traffic controllers are very highly skilled. They're very talented, very smart people. So it's not like you could just take somebody off the street.
For most Americans, these men and women are the unseen forces guiding their trips, our only reference point in the occasional Hollywood blockbuster.
We've dumped out a few.
They are the voices talking to Denzel Washington in flight, the men searching for answers for Tom Hanks in Sully.
Cactus 1549, runway 4 is available if you want to make left traffic to runway 4.
I don't think we can make any runway.
B66, flight data.
But last year we got a chance to see the real people in training. Most future air traffic controllers need to go to this academy in Oklahoma City, where they emphasize just how high the stakes really are.
A surgeon have hundreds of people's lives in their hands throughout the course of their career. Controllers working a busy shift, they might do that in an hour.
We're at the FAA Academy in Oklahoma City, and these are the voices who will control the sky.
Delta 802, Academy ground, runway 28 right, taxi via Alpha.
Last year, my colleague Gio Benitez went inside the facility training future air traffic controllers, where it's hard to even get in. Less than 1 in 10 of the applicants actually make it here. Even fewer graduate.
You had 57,000 people who were interested in this, but only about 1,000 or just over 1,000 actually got in. Does that concern you?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's absolutely concerning because at that rate, we will never be able to get healthy, and that's ultimately what we're trying to do.
It is very difficult to make it through these training programs. Even if you show up and you qualify, about 70% of those people will graduate. And then when they get to the on-the-job training, only 50% of those people will make it through.
And then they have to find out if they can handle the pressure of holding so many lives in their hands.
There is a lot of stress. It's not a 9-to-5 job. We have planes flying 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, holidays, weekends. So you can't have a bad day. When you have a bad day, really bad things can happen in the air traffic environment.
While the job can be excruciatingly demanding, the pay can be high. Dwayne Davis says the average salary of a certified controller is $130,000. And it can go up from there.
Part of what the government's trying to do is increase the pay. And so if you want to fix a problem with labor shortages, you increase the pay and you're going to get more people applying. You'll get a higher quality, a higher caliber, because this is not just something that anybody can do.
But it can take up to 3.5 years of training to get certified. And controllers need to be younger than 31 when they apply and must retire by 56. Part of the reason there's been this shortage of controllers for decades is because there was only this one school, but it isn't the only training site anymore.
The FAA is now looking in all directions so they can produce more air traffic controllers. They're asking more than a dozen colleges and universities across the country to chip in and create programs that will also produce and train air traffic controllers.
As the nation begins a busy summer of travel, the issues at Newark could have an even bigger ripple effect, as the crisis shows no signs of stopping.
Section 651, we just had another brief radar outage, so just in case that happens again, for your purposes, if you can't reach me, just stay at or above 3,000.
The delays at Newark have sparked such a national outcry, even the Secretary of Transportation's wife's flight was changed from Newark to New York's LaGuardia Airport.
The situation at Newark is unique in that it is because of problems with antiquated equipment. They're still updating their air traffic control computers there with floppy disks. Those systems are breaking down.
There's a saying in aviation that complacency kills, and complacency is part of the problem here. We know that for years, decades even, the FAA has been underfunded. All of this goes back to failures that go decades, and it's not just the Congress, it's not just the White House.
On Tuesday, the FAA reduced flight arrival and departures out of Newark down to 28 arrivals and 28 departures per hour. Before it was close to 40 for both.
Right now, the FAA says they are working around the clock to get the situation at Newark fixed.
Ultimately, we're going to ensure that every single person that enters the airspace that we have the responsibility for will know that we have their backs and keeping them safe.
Against all odds, we have arrived to a very empty Newark, 13 hours, but we made it.